here we have the layout of a blocked style letter. It is important to remember that in a blocked style letter, all elements should begin at the left margin. This, however, is with the exception of a letterhead. Regardless of the type of letter that we're preparing, be it the blocked style, a semi-blocked style, or the indented style, the letterhead should always be typed in the header of your document, and it should always be centered. If we have a letterhead in our document, there is no need to have a sender's address, and if we have a sender's address, there is no need to have a letterhead, as they both play the same role. It is also important to remember that punctuations are only used in the body of the letter. Hence, when we're typing our date, it should be typed as day, then month, then year. So the numbers that you're seeing on screen represents the number of times that you enter after you have typed each element. So first we have our sender's address, then we enter twice, then we have our reference, we enter twice again, we have our date, then we enter 3 times. We then have our receiver's address, we enter twice, then we have our salutation, and we enter twice again. After our salutation, we have our subject. After we have typed our subject, we then enter twice, then we move to the body of our letter. So for the first paragraph, after we're through typing it, we enter twice. If we have a second paragraph, we enter twice. If we have a third paragraph, we enter twice. So a clear line space should be left after each paragraph you have prepared. So after you have typed your final paragraph, we then move on to the complementary clause. After the complementary clause, we enter 5 to 6 times. This, however, is dependent on the length of your letter. If it is a short letter, we'd enter 5 to 6 times, maximum 6. If it is, however, a long letter, we could reduce the amount to match the length of the letter. So it probably could be 3 times, 4 times. You be the judge. After our complementary clause, we have our signature block. We enter twice. We move to our designation. We enter twice. Then we have our enclosure or our copy notation. This is often represented by ENC or ATT for attachment. We are on to the preparation of our blocked style letter. So we have our reference first, then we enter twice. We have our date, and remember, day, month, year. Then we enter 3 times. Then we're typing our receiver's address. After our receiver's address, we enter twice. Then we have our salutation. We then enter twice again. Then we have our subject. So if you can see, all our lines so far begin at the left margin. We then enter twice, and here we have our body. So the body of the letter again was pre-prepared to save time. So we have our body with all paragraphs beginning at the left margin. All lines in each paragraph begin at the left margin. So after our body, we have our complementary clause. We enter twice, then we have our complementary clause. After our complementary clause, because this is a relatively short letter, we enter 6 times. Then we have our signature block. So there you have it, our blocked style letter with all lines beginning at the left margin. This is is the layout of the semi-blocked letter. So the semi-blocked letter is considered to be less formal than the blocked style letter. It is somewhat similar as we have some of the elements still aligned left, meaning they start from the left margin. We then have other elements starting at the center of the page. Some of these elements include the sender's address, which again is used if there is no letterhead, the date, which is in the same line as the reference and typed as day, month, and year, as we are utilizing open punctuation, meaning punctuation should only be used in the body of the letter. So the numbers again that you're seeing indicates the amount of times that you should press enter after typing each element. There are several variations to this style, as some persons choose to right align the date instead of beginning from the center of the page. So it's up to you whether to use this format or to right align your date. Now we're on to the preparation of a semi-blocked style letter. So here we're changing our font style to Times New Roman and our font size to 12. We then go over to our line spacing option where we change that to 1.0. Then we ensure that both of our paragraph settings are saying add and not remove. We then proceed to type the reference if there is one. After we're through typing the reference, we go up to our ruler line and then we locate the center of the page, which is about at 3.5. We simply click at the location where we want to set a tab, and a tab should come up. So where you're seeing that little L, that's where your tab is. You then proceed to type your date, which should be day, month, then year. After we have typed our date, we enter 2 times. Then we begin typing the receiver's address. So after typing our receiver's address, we enter twice again, then we type our salutation. After typing our salutation, we enter twice, then we move to the body of our letter. Remember, in the body, all lines should be aligned left, meaning they should all start at the left margin. So here we have our body, we then enter twice, then we go back to our ruler line and we set a tab at the center of the page again. Remember, you set a tab by simply clicking on the location where you want it to come up. So after we have set our tab, we then press the tab key on our keyboard, then we type our complementary close. Then we enter 3 to 5, 5 to 6 times depending on the length of your letter, then you type the signature block. Now we're on to our final format, the indented style. So traditionally, letters were typed in the indented format, and most of us will remember that this is the format that we were taught in primary school. So although this style has become less popular, a lot of persons still continue to use it. So for this format, the subject line is centered, while the reference, the recipient's address, the salutation, and the enclosure notation, they are all left aligned. To the right of the page, however, we have the sender's address, and this again is if the letterhead is not used, the date, which now has a comma to separate the month from the year, the complementary clause, the signature block, and the designation. The main difference between the indented format and the blocked format is that the first line of each paragraph is indented. By indented, we mean that the first line of each paragraph moves away from the margin. So in order to achieve this, we press the tab key once or we press the space bar 5 times. This style utilizes full punctuation, so punctuations can be used throughout the letter. First, we go to our formatting toolbar where we'll have our date flushed to the right margin. So we type our date with a comma separating the month from the year. Then we proceed to enter twice. Then we go back to our formatting toolbar where we select left align. Our recipient's address should be flushed to the left. After our salutation, we enter twice. Then we go back to our formatting toolbar where we're going to select center alignment. So the subject of our letter should be typed in the center of the page. After we have typed our subject, we then enter twice. Then we go back to the left of our document. This is where we'll have the body. So if we remember clearly, the first line in each paragraph should be indented. So here we're pressing the tab key, so the first line in each paragraph moves away from the margin. We then enter twice, go back to our right alignment, then we type our complementary clause. For our complementary clause, we can now have a comma, then we enter 5 to 6 times depending on the length of the letter, then we will type our signature block.